Hi everyone, I'm Tania de Zedán, board chair at CAG. Welcome to A Dream, a Plan, a Campus, a 4-episode podcast series covering all the goals and details for the renewed CAG campus. Welcome to episode 2. Today I have Sean O'Donnell from Perkins Eastman, the architecture firm that is in charge of designing this amazing master's facility plan. Welcome, Sean. I understand you just landed in Guatemala, so I guess we will keep you busy for the next couple of days.
Great. Glad to be here and glad to be back. So it's always exciting to be on campus and see the students and everybody, enjoying the place, and and we're excited to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and especially Sean, that remember you'll walk us through, but I guess we started this conversation about the master's facility plan like 5 years ago, right?
That's right. I remember Miss Marshall, when she first came to school, she actually reached out to us to ask about how a master plan process might work, and what were the steps, and a rough idea of what the schedule might be, and so I think after that conversation, she took that back clearly, and perhaps it was maybe 2 years later, we continued that conversation and started the master plan in earnest, and really started engaging the community here at CAG.
Yeah, which it has been a lot of work, but an amazing discovering world, right? And just for our audience to understand, Sean, in this process, there were like 2 important phases. The first one was like to fully understand CAG. CAG in terms of who we are, our DNA as a community of learners, as what are our values, what we cherish the most, what do we dream as a school, and we're a community, like I've told you before, once you've been a student and you're an alumni, you just carry CAG the rest of your life. So I understand that you were in charge of this part of the discoveries and the findings. So please tell us how that process went.
Sure. You've said it beautifully to begin with, but we are architects. We're trained to draw, but what we bring to the process, I think, is an understanding that if you think about designing and drawing as problem solving, you first have to define what the problem is that you're trying to solve. So you don't want to start drawing from day one when you're creating a master plan. What you want to do is actually, as you indicated, really understand what the issues are, what the hopes and dreams are, what the challenges and the opportunities are, what the culture, the community is like here, what the climate is of the place, what the existing architecture is like. But the first question I often ask, as you've indicated, is what are your hopes and dreams for the master plan? And I think in many ways, in the first few minutes, you start to have a conversation about that really, I think ultimately when you get to the master plan document, you realize that all those initial conversations have now materialized in the drawings and the vision that's been created within the plan. So that process was relatively extensive. We talked to a lot of people, from faculty to students to parents to alumni, the administration here, anybody and everybody that would talk to us. And it was, I think, a really exciting process where we've gathered a lot of information and really understood the passion of the community for CAG and the campus. But the other interesting part of it, though, was that, again, we started the process in the pandemic, so we had to start those conversations virtually, and so much what we're hearing about of the power of this place was done over the internet. So for us then last October to have the opportunity to come to the campus and then truly experience it ourselves was very fulfilling and exciting, and we very quickly realized that everything that we heard was true, and this is a truly amazing place.
Yeah, so. Sean. Yeah, going back 2 years when the world stopped during the pandemic. At the board level, we were always wondering, well, what's going to happen with our master facility plan? And we all agree that we just move forward because it was one of our commitments at the strategic plan. And through the pandemic and through this new reality and new needs for our children, for education, for educators, we understood that now more than ever we needed to move forward and rethink what the school needed in terms of infrastructure to fulfill and still make a relevant academic program for our students. So, and by the Zoom and the virtual channel, you could tell that we have a very outspoken community. We feel a lot of ownership of this school. We have our kids come here, our grandchildren, and makes us very proud. So I'm glad that when you came to Guatemala, you found that most of the information that you have gathered through the virtual scenery was real. So, some of our constituents at some point must have told you, like, listen, you can rethink whatever part of the school, but let's keep this part intact. Can you tell us about what were those areas that our community think it's sacred? It would makes CAG.
Oh, well, the was loud and clear that the open space and the natural environment here was so incredibly loved by the community and was in many ways the essence of the campus that you have here, from again if I think about the word clouds that we created online, green, natural, amazing, wonderful, beautiful, all these words came out very clearly, and the qualities of the open space are so critical to creating this very unique campus. We did explore other campuses around the city while we were here, and you could see that it's a real differentiator for the quality of the environment that is provided here at CAG. But some of the students even talked about the diversity of the open spaces too here, and that so there's a really rich array of outdoor places that everyone loved. And one of my favorite questions that I often ask is, what is your favorite place on campus? And I ask this of everybody, and almost universally they were outdoor places, across the campus, from Montanita, was probably the most strongest preferred place, but all the spaces, behind us and to the fields and even to the pool, resonated very strongly with the students as well.
Great. And the pergolas, right?
Oh, the pergolas, well, we actually had a really strong reaction to the pergolas here. My colleague Omar and I, we travel the world working with schools, and we quite often talk about learning spanning from inside to out. And when we stepped foot onto campus and we saw the pergolas, I think we may have had an even stronger reaction that this was something really exciting that's going on here, and the use of the outdoor space for very active and engaging learning was something that is unique to CAG, and I think a very powerful precedent for others to learn from in many ways about the learning environment that you've created here.
Great. Shan, can you give us some projections that you have in terms of very specific areas, for example, sports or arts? What were your findings around that?
Yeah. So through the conversations, we had some hints about places to look, but we also did a lot of analysis of the existing spaces on campus, and then we compared them to other benchmarks in other schools around the world, and then we started to also assess the organization of the campus too, and some of it came out of that latter understanding that maybe things could be organized to create a more interdisciplinary interaction, across the campuses. So if you start to think about, where the arts are on the campus and where music is and where science is, and some of the facilities that could be enhanced, in each of those disciplines, that we could start to create individual spaces for those programs, but then we could also start to create a sort of recipe to co-locate things to make an even more dynamic learning environment. So I think that's where we focused in many of our efforts. And so when you start to look at the plan, there's a building called the Innovation Center, which again is bringing new spaces to campus or enhanced spaces, but I think it's even more exciting that it's bringing them all together and creating a really interesting energy between all those new spaces that are coming to campus as well.
Well, Shan, can't wait to hear more about those innovation spaces. And it's time for us to start wrapping up. I'm sure this is the first of a lot more episodes, because our community will be willing and excited to learn more about how these will be unfolding. So we're gonna go to this part where our students, to the Students Wonder Corner, a space to listen to a few questions from our curious CAC students.
Will the school still have a lot of trees?
Well, that's so beautiful. And yes, right, Sean? We are sure we will keep our trees strong and beautiful and green, and we'll keep our open spaces. So thank you very much, Shan, for sharing all this information. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tania de Zedán, board chair at CAG. Until next time.
Thank you for inviting us. We're honored to be here.
Thank you, Shan.